Are your houseplants missing something? Well, why not jazz them up with a plant pot stand? These are super easy to make, and all you'll need is a long piece of wood, some screws, some dowels and some glue. And why wouldn't you want to make one when this literally cost me less than £2.50 to make? Now, firstly, take the plant pot you're going to be making the stand for. Then measure the diameter of the base of the pot. Next, take a long piece of wood, and here I'm using a piece that's 1/2 inch in width and depth. Now, firstly, we're going to create the base of the plant stand by cutting out 2 pieces of wood. And the length of these pieces need to be the diameter of the pot, adding about 1/2 centimetre to the length. Do this by measuring out the wood, then use a saw to cut to length. And now we need to cut out 4 more pieces of wood. And the length of these need to be the pot diameter plus that 1/2 centimetre divided by 2 minus the depth of the wood, which was 1/2 inch divided by 2. Then cut 4 pieces to this length, again using either a miter saw or a handsaw. So now we need to attach the 2 longer pieces of wood together in a cross shape. We'll do this by screwing them together, so firstly you'll need to mark the centre point on each piece of wood. Then, to ensure the wood doesn't split when we're screwing into it, use a drill to make a pilot hole on each of the centre points on the pieces of wood. Then use a countersink on one of the pilot holes, and this will ensure your screw head sits flush on the wood when they're screwed together. Now place the piece of wood that's been countersinked on top of the other, then screw the 2 together carefully until they're firmly attached like so. And now we need to use our 4 pieces of shorter wood to make our cross shape flat and more secure on both sides. So on each side of the cross, place on 2 of the shorter pieces of wood as shown, and on these mark 2 points where you can drill some pilot holes where you can attach these pieces to the longer pieces of wood that form the base of the stand. And again use a countersink on all of the pilot holes to ensure your screw heads sit flat. And whilst ensuring all your pilot holes remain lined up, carefully screw all your pieces of wood together. Then repeat exactly the same process on the other side of the stand base using the remaining 2 shorter pieces of wood. And now you should be left with a nice strong and level base for your pot stand. Now, as we've added various lengths of wood on top of each other, the chances are the 4 ends of the pot stand won't be completely flat. So simply sand the ends until they're nice and flush. Now we're going to fix in some dowels which will attach the stands to the base. On each of the 4 ends of the pot stand base, mark the centre point on each of the pieces of wood as shown. And then make a note for later of the distance between the 2 centre points. Next, take your dowels and make a note of their diameter. Then on the centre points you marked on the pot stand, use a drill to make some pilot holes to the diameter of the dowels. And you may need to use a smaller drill bit to start with to increase the size of the holes. And it's important the depth of your pilot holes are the same as the length of half of one of your dowels. And to make sure you don't drill too far, a useful technique is to make a marker on your drill bit by sticking on some masking tape. Next we need to push the dowels into the 8 pilot holes we've made on the pot stand. Firstly, place some no more nails or wood glue onto one of the ends of the dowels, then push this end into each of the pilot holes. And then your pot stand base should have 8 dowels sticking halfway out. Okay, next we need to make our 4 stands that will attach to the dowels. So take our original pot we'll be putting on our stand and measure how long you want the stands to be. In this measurement include how high off the ground you want the pot to be, plus how much of the stands you want to go up the side of the pot. Then simply cut 4 more pieces of wood to this measurement. And now decide where you want the stands you've just cut to attach to the pot stand base via the dowels. Mark the point where one of the dowels on the stand will sit, then take that measurement from earlier, which is the distance between the 2 dowels, and mark another point this distance away from the first point you made. Do this on all 4 stands that you've cut, and again drill some pilot holes into those points you've made, again making sure you don't drill all the way through the wood, going to the depth of just half a dowel. Now, once you've done that on all 4 pieces of wood, the next step is to attach the stands to the pot stand base. Do this again by using either no more nails or wood glue and applying this to the ends of the dowels that are sticking out of the pot stand base. Now carefully push each stand onto the dowels via the holes that you've just drilled. Do this for all of the stands and make sure you wipe away any excess wood glue or no more nails, and then your pot stand should look something like this. And now for the acid test, make sure that pot fits your stand. Hurrah! And it does! So next, show your pot stand some love by giving it a sand all over. And then, depending on how you want your pot stand to look, why not give it a coat of varnish or paint to finish it off nicely. Leave the paint or varnish to dry, and then your pot stand's ready to be put into place. So find the perfect position in your room for your plant stand, and then carefully place your plant pot into the stand. And there you have it, that's how to make this brilliant DIY project, which is perfect to jazz up any room and plant alike.